Thank you for joining us for Section 3 of the WeatherTrack 2014 Spring Update. In this section, we will discuss compliance tools, or the tools the WeatherTrack system provides to ensure that all of your controllers are programmed to adhere to local restrictions. If you operate, manage, or own a property in an area with water restrictions, you remember when your water purveyor asks you to restrict your irrigation water use to only certain hours in the day or certain days in the week. You also know that there are often penalties for violating those water restrictions. To avoid fines in these circumstances, a property manager must need to know two things. First, which of my controllers is operating outside of my water restrictions? And second, how do I change them? To find out which controllers could be operating in violation, we provide two reports, the Account Compliance Report and the Water Window Compliance Report. The process for pulling these reports starts on the Reports tab of WeatherTrack.net. To pull one of these reports, you come to the Reports page and you use this drop-down menu to select that type of report. If you haven't been to our Reports page in a while, you've missed quite a few new additions. Of course, you can always pull the classic controller settings report or runtime minutes report, but now you can check out your usage in terms of measured usage, estimated usage, or runtime minutes. Or you can check out reports from our two new features called Budget Manager and Drought Manager. With the Account Compliance Report, you see all of the restrictions that your controller set needs to be operating under, and you see how many of your controllers are operating inside the restricted times, how many of your controllers are operating outside the restricted times, and how many controllers we don't have enough information to make that call. Then we give you a controller-by-controller breakdown of each individual controller status for every controller in your portfolio. The Water Window Compliance Report takes a different angle and shows us a controller-by-controller breakdown and gives us a highlighted report telling us when our individual controllers might be in violation. Now that we know which of our controllers is operating outside of the restricted water windows, we need to know how do we change them. To do this, we use the WeatherTrack compliance tools from the Central Internet Toolbox, or WeatherTrack.net, where you can access any of the WeatherTrack features from any Internet-capable computer. To change the times that your controller runs from WeatherTrack.net, you navigate from the home page to the Program page, where you open up the Days and Times menu. In the Days and Times menu, you program in your start time, water window, and water day restrictions, basically telling the controller when it's allowed to operate, and more importantly, when it's not allowed to operate. So you're sure that your controller is only operating during the times and days that you're allowing it to. And even though restriction compliance is commonly accomplished by restricting your days and times, in some scenarios, an irrigation manager may need to adjust the station settings for each station in each controller that they manage. For example, during their drought last year, Denver Water offered a reward to any major water user that could prove that they were irrigating their turf at a water budget of 30% less than ET. Without WeatherTrack, this is a project that would take a contractor days of work to calculate and then program a schedule like that into the set of controllers. With WeatherTrack, we save you all that time by using our Station Grouping tool. To use the WeatherTrack Station Grouping tool, we start on the Controllers tab where you find this Station Grouping button. The first step in this process is to select which controllers we want to generate our station group from. Once we save those controllers through, we get a list of all of the stations on each of the controllers we've selected. You see here where the first controller ends and the second controller begins in terms of station-by-station settings. Now, we use the station filtering tool to create the exact list of stations we want to effect a change for. In this example, let's grab all of our cool season turf heads and maybe just under the spray heads. Then We label the report, call it CST for our cool season turf, and we describe it with a descriptor called sprays in this example. Then we select the stations that we wanted included in this group, and we save this set of stations. We create a station group. Once we've saved this station group through the WeatherTrack station grouping tool, and we see the station come up on the other side, we can then select to make a batch action or affect a change to every station inside of our station group. In this example, we wanted to turn all of our turf stations down by 30% of ET. And so to do this, we select Adjust Auto Mode, and we percent adjust down 30%, which would deliver a ET budget of a schedule that was 30% of ET. And like that, a project that without WeatherTrack would have taken an irrigation manager days or weeks to achieve, with WeatherTrack, we created a station group and adjusted the entire station group down to 30% of ET in just under 2 minutes. And this is how we want our WeatherTrack water managers to use the WeatherTrack tools, both the compliance reports and the central internet tools, to become more efficient water managers. Thank you for joining this session of the WeatherTrack 2014 Spring Update. Up next, Part 4, Central Management Tools.